everybody, it's me! It's the Nutty Professor! I'm wearing my mask because we're outside and we're doing a live taping again. I'm so excited. My former student producer is taping and his friend is here, and we're doing a live podcast again. In the last podcast, I taped it myself. It wasn't a very good quality. It was on my 2004 Jaguar, and I said goodbye to it. And I told you that I was getting a quote new unquote car, but I didn't tell you what it was. Now I'm going to introduce the car. You might have noticed that I am wearing a BMW hat, but it's not a BMW. Okay? It's actually a 2010 Mini Cooper S. Now the reason I'm wearing a BMW hat, not a mini hat, is that I don't have a mini hat yet, and the BMW actually owns Mini. So there is a little bit of a connection here. So whenever I drive this car these days, I wear my BMW hat because it kind of works. At some point, I'm going to get a mini hat. Now, it's a 2010 S model. S means it has the turbo. And the way that you can tell a turbo, an S model, from the others is they have these hood scoops. They're mostly decorational. They don't do a lot, a little bit rare, but they're mostly decorative, So they have the hood scoop. And when I show you the rest of the car later, you'll see that there are some other distinguishing features of the S, like the bigger wheels, the 17-inch black wheels, and you have the S insignia there. And this particular one has the Union Jacks on the mirrors. Now, they're black, so, and black is my color. I usually wear black, and I got a black mask now. So I'm quite happy with the kind of ironic, black Union Jacks on the mirrors. It's a fun car. When I was looking, and I think in the Jaguar podcast, I talked about how there is another podcaster in the States. His name is Tyler Hoover, and he's a car guy. He has up to 40, 50 cars in his collection at a time. And they actually had a show where he could only buy another car for his collection if he sold one. And collectors, they don't like to give up cars. They don't like to give up stuff, and he used to agonize. Now, in this case, I gave up the Jaguar. It was getting old. I've had it a long time, and I didn't want to keep maintaining it. And I wanted a fresh start, and I wanted something more fun, And there was really a very short list for me. I wanted a small car, possibly a daily user. I had a daily user before, a little Kia, but then I didn't really need it, and I gave it away. And I have some other cars. I have a very big SUV, which, for daily use, it's not really fun. So I wanted something small and fun, but something a little less pedestrian than a Kia. So the short list was this and Fiat, And between this and Fiat, I preferred this. It's a little bigger, It's a BMW engineering. And I went for an older model. That's one of the things I do, is that when I'm buying cars, even if they're not just for the collection, even if they're for use, I tend to prefer older cars, but in very good condition and with lower mileage if at all possible. So this one is a 2010, and a lot of people, they think it's new or almost new because the shape hasn't changed in 10 years, in 11 years. The shape is pretty much the same, So, and the condition is very, very good. Mileage is a little more than I usually prefer up to 70, 80,000 kilometers. when I'm buying used cars, even really old ones. Our Corvette had only 60,000 kilometers, and it was like 15 years old when we got it, you know. So I prefer lower, but in this case, I got a very good deal on it. They gave me a good trade for the Jaguar, and you know, it's in excellent shape. I have a mechanic out in the country where I have my country house, and it just so happens that he's a specialist in old minis, you know. So after I bought the car, I did take it out to him and had him check it out, and everything is fine. A couple of little normal maintenance things that I'll get done, but the dealer had it nicely detailed. It's very clean, you know. There's no rust. There's, you know, and I love the color, you know, the black and white. Now, normally, I always used to buy black cars, but this one, this is it's got black, but it's also, you know, it's white, and I like the color combination, and I have been having a lot of fun. I love the 6-speed shift. It's 175 horsepower. The base ones are 120 horsepower, like 118. So you get more horsepower, and what really makes this car a lot of fun is the standard shift, the clutch, and the gear shift. I do have in the collection, and we're going to do a podcast on it next summer. I do have a 1994 BMW convertible. And this car reminds me a lot of that. The shift and the clutch and the performance reminds me a lot of that car. But again, that's not an accident, because BMW, you know, this car, I say sometimes I think that this car has a German father, but a British mother, you know, even though this car, I think, wasn't even born in England. I think it was assembled in Netherlands. Now, it's a beautiful little car, a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying it, you know. And as I said in the Jaguar podcast, it's just a car. I mean, you know, I used that for a very long time, but it's not a pet, it's a car. So this is the new edition, and I don't name my cars, you know. The old cars, a couple of old cars that we gave to relatives, younger people, the first thing they did was they named their cars, you know? And I showed it to my cousin, and she asked me, she said, "Uncle, have you named it yet?" And I go, I don't name my cars. But when I meet the relatives at Christmas, we might just for fun think of possible names for it, you know. But the official name for this car it's a Mini Cooper S, you know. Now, Cooper actually comes from a guy who was a racing car driver, John Cooper, and he modified minis and he raced them, you know. And then he had a deal where he would design packages and engines for Mini, John Cooper, and now there's a company called John Cooper Works where they do special editions and more power, more horsepower, you know. But for me, this one is the horsepower is fine. It drives beautifully. It is a kind of a stiff ride. It's not a soft ride, you know, but it's meant to be sporty. It's meant to, you know, there is, when I show you the inside, I'll show you some of the buttons. There is a sport button where you can actually make the ride harder, apparently. If you press that sport button, it makes the ride stiffer if you're like whipping it around corners, and it also makes the steering harder, you know, so that again for corners, and you know, you're doing rallying and you're doing mountain roads and stuff like that, you know. Now I haven't even tried the sport button, because to me the ride is stiff enough. It's, you know, it's perfect for running around. It's been a lot of fun, you know. The Jaguar, I mean, it was a cat. It had the leaping cat, which somebody stole, but it was a cat. This one, I mean, you know, it's cat-like. It's cute, you know. And it's, you know, it's got a personality, you know, and it's a very, you know, cat-like little car, and I have been absolutely thrilled with it so far. There is another car podcaster in the States who bought a 2010, and but they do car podcasts. His father, I think, restores cars. And he was saying that if you buy an old Mini, you have to be prepared for some, things that might go wrong. Apparently, the timing chain is prone to breaking, and you might have some clutch issues, and so on. But I'm prepared. As I said, I did not pay very much for this, and I have a mechanic out in the country who specializes in these cars. So I bought it with some confidence, because even if there are little things that need doing, he will take care of them. And he told me that 110,000 kilometers is really not much for one of these. He has one himself, a couple of years older, and he has done, I think, 250,000 kilometers. When he said that to me, I said, but you're a mechanic! You can fix it, So now we're going to show you the inside and the back. Actually, you want to come around? I'll show you a bit of the back. Now on the side, you'll see the big wheels, 17-inch. These are the wheels that go with the S model. It's got the black roof and the panoramic sunroof. I'll show you how that works later. And round to the back, you'll see that this is the way you differentiate the S model. Well, obviously, there's a little S there, but you'll see down there, it has dual exhausts. And if you see a Mini with one pipe over here, then it is the base model. It is not the turbo. The turbo S model, they always have the two twin exhausts in the center. And I think they also have this kind of grill mesh thing. You don't see it on the, so it's a little bit more dressed up, I think that in the new cars, the Cooper S package adds, a few $1,000s. You get the, I think it's 8,000, something like that, because you get the turbo engine, you get the performance suspension, and then you get the extra trimming. You get the, So this is the outside, and now we'll show you the inside. Now, the other thing here is, I do want to, when I show you the inside, I'm doing this podcast, we haven't done a car podcast in a long time, so I'm very excited to be doing this again and properly taped with proper sound and everything. But the other reason I'm doing this podcast is that my father, who is out of the country, and they're living now in India, and we used to share our car collection. I've told him about the car, I sent pictures, but I would like my father to see this, and I've told him that the car is in very good condition, it's like new, and he was asking me, he goes, what does it sound like? And I said, Dad, I'm going to try to do a podcast when my producer is able to, and we're able to actually tape a live podcast. I will do one so you can see the car in some detail and you can hear the sound of the engine. So we're going to do that now. We're going to start it up inside and show you some of the inside features and some of the quirks. And Pop, if you're watching this, this is the car. This is the new, and even though I keep saying they're cars, sort of like a family, So, and I have this thing now. Remember I told you about the Tyler Hoover? Every time he adds a car, he has to sell one. I'm tempted sometimes, and I see something advertised, and I go, I can add that to the collection. But I've made it a rule now. I'm only going to ever buy another one if I can get rid of one. So in this case, it worked out. They gave me a pretty good trade for an old car on the Jaguar. And I got a fun little car that's daily user. It's dual purpose. It's kind of a daily user, and it's also fun. It's also, an addition to the collection. It's and it's old, but it's in really good shape. And I'm not going to be putting a lot of kilometers on it anyway, because I do have the SUV and all the other cars. So this is, I think, our fourth car podcast. Not counting the Jaguar, because that was 4, but that's gone. And I'm going to try to keep the collection at 7. So this is one of those in-betweens. It's in between a daily user and a collection. So now, Pop, if you're seeing this is my new car. It's beautiful. I love it, And now I'm going to show you the inside, and the inside is beautiful as well. And we'll start it up. So, for my dad, you'll hear what it sounds like. It's gorgeous, Okay, let's go inside. Now, that's the interior. Now, there's one little thing that I'll show you here. You push that, it's a hidden compartment. There's a glove box. I keep my masks and the CDs and things in there. And then you push it, and it closes. And then there's a regular glove box down there. And then you can see this is the trim. It's kind of shiny. And then at the back, you've got the trunk. It's actually a nice size trunk. I got my hat in there, you know. You get my, I got my cat change purse. You get the masks, you know. But it's a nice size. The seats fold down. I've never done it yet, but the seats fold down. It'll give you some space. It clears it up. And I'll show you something else here. When we did the podcast last year, comparing my very old Mercedes to my friend's newer Mercedes, I discovered that his car had this really fancy fob that you just kept the fob in your pocket and you pressed the starter button, you know, whereas the key on the Mercedes, it was all taped up. So, but with this car, it's an in-between. It does have this fob-like thing, but it's not one of those things where you just keep it in your pocket and you touch. And with my friend's Mercedes, you kept it in your pocket and you went like this, and then it beeped and it beeped and it did all kinds of stuff. This one, it's kind of old school because you still gotta lock it and unlock it properly like that. So that's, you got lock, you got unlock, and then you got a regular door handle here. And then when you come here, and this is like semi-leather interior, and the tilt, see the steering goes up and down, and the tachometer goes with it, you know. So it goes like that. Now, what you do is you have to put the clutch in, and this thing, it goes into here. So it's a little slot, and you have to push it in. So it's not one of those things where you just keep it in your pocket, you know. You got to put it in, and then there's a start button here. You press the start button, and it starts. Now it's a 6-speed. Now, Dad, Pop, if you're listening to this, that's the sound of the engine. It's beautiful. It sounds a lot like our old BMW. A little bit of the Porsche sound too. And it's got 175 horsepower, 6-speed shift, you know. Now, this is the center. The newer ones, this has become like a navigation screen, you know. But in this one, the speedometer is here. See the analog? Now, in a previous podcast, I think the one on the Corvette, I complained about the ergonomics designs of some cars and how the speedometer should really be in front of the driver. And I have never actually looked over at this, because the good thing about this car, and it's the first thing I looked up when I got it, was that you can set, you know, so using the computer, you can set the digital speedometer here in the tachometer, you know. So right now it's showing 0 because we're not moving, you know. But when you start driving, it'll start showing 25, 28, 30 kilometers per hour, you know. And it gives you the mileage there, you know. And you can change, so you can go set info. It gives you, you know, your gas mileage. It gives you, you know, average speed, and you can set it for speedometer in here, which is what I've got. So when I'm driving, I keep my eyes in front of me on this. This is where I see my speed. I hardly ever look at this big one. Now, they also say that I've seen some people talking about how the ergonomics on this car isn't great because some of the buttons aren't where they should be, such as, you would think that this knob is the volume for the radio, because this is the radio area here, the bottom of the speedometer, and you would think it says audio and it says menu, so you would think that this is and the first couple of times I got in the car, I wanted to raise the volume, and I did that. That's not volume, you know. Volume is down here, you know. This is on and off, and this is volume, you know. So this one changes radio channels, And you can program it. When you do this, you can program it for tuner, CD, all of this stuff. So, and you can go like that. But this is, so the first few times I'm driving along and I want to raise the volume and I do this and I change the channel, you know. So it's minor things, you know. Now you can also do the, you can change the channels and adjust the volume from here, you know, from the steering wheel. There's up and there's down for volume, and that will change the channels, you know. And this is cruise control, which I did take it out to the country house, showed it to my mechanic out there, and I had the cruise control on. It works everything works. The heated seats, so you got the heated seats button is down there, you know. You got 3 notches, 2 notches, 1 notch. You've got heated seats on the both sides. You've got the climate control. The air conditioning works. The heated seat works. The cruise control works. The sunroof. Now, you can do this sunroof 2 ways. You can do, so the first notch is just up, you know, and you'll see how it tilts up, you know, and there's a second sunroof at the back, and that tilts up as well, you know. So that's for the back seat passengers. So you have a front and a back. They call it panoramic sunroof, and then you can open the whole thing. So that's the whole thing open. Now, when you open it, just this front one opens, you know, and then when I close it, you'll see how it closes, and that's that first notch where it just tilts up, but the back one tilts up too, you know. And when you open it, you'll see it's got a little screen here. It's like in some cars you have like a plastic shield for, you know, like a noise wind barrier thing. This one has got a little mesh, you know. So it's got little touches. I mean, these are, I think, the more comes from the paternal side of this car, comes from the father's side, comes from the BMW. A little German engineering, and the little quirkiness. I think that's the more British stuff. And some of the, you know, I like this, by the way. Some people were complaining about the dials and the switches, but I like all of this. I like the way it looks, and the window buttons are down here, but you get used to it. I mean, I said in another podcast that they put window buttons all over the place. I think BMW has them here, and some Italian cars, they put them up here. So this one they're down here on the dash, but I've adjusted. I love the interior of this car. The kind of chrome. The Jaguar was wood. It was broad walnut, you know, and leather. Now this one is, and it's not real, obviously, it's not real carbon fiber. My friend has a new Audi where it has like actual carbon fiber. This is fake, but then this is cost a lot less, you know? So, but this is, you know, kind of the carbon fiber and chrome look. They sometimes say that this centerpiece, it's like a dinner plate. It's like a big dinner plate or a dog food bowl or something, you know. So that's the interior of the car, you know. So that's that is my new catnip toy. It's not a cat. It's not a member of the family as such. It is an addition to the Nutty Professor car collection. And in my terms, it's more like a big toy, you know, like a catnip toy. Well, actually, in car terms, it's a small toy, you know. And I've been playing with it, and I've been enjoying it, and it has been my reinforcer for being clear for over 10 months, you know. A friend of mine asked, if this is what you reinforce yourself with at 10 months, what are you going to do at a year? But this is the reinforcer for a year, you know. I just have to stay clean another 2 months, you know, because I'm not going to buy myself another car. You know, this is my, and I bought it now just because I had a good opportunity to trade the Jaguar, and I got a good deal on this, you know. And with used cars, when you find one that's clean and that you like, at a good price, you know, you can't really hesitate, you know. So this is my new toy, and I am going to try to get a mini hat. You know, we'll wait for the summer for this. I'm not going to use it much in winter. I've got the SUV. I will take it out occasionally when there's no salt, just for fun. But it's really just a fun car. I love the size The thing I love the most about this car is the size for parking downtown. I go, shopping, and I go to underground lots, and I find tight street parking. I put it in, and I've got used to all the controls. I'm getting used to them. The button thing took a little getting used to because I've never had a car with a button before, a start button, and this has got a double. This has got the key, the button, and then you do all that. Yeah. So, but I'm used to all of that. I've figured out the controls, and I absolutely love the car. I love it. It's a great toy. It's a lot of fun, and I didn't pay much. So that is it for the introduction to the Mini Cooper S, the next addition to the Nutty Professor's car collection. And Pop, if you're seeing this, this is the new car, and as I told you, it's beautiful, and you've heard the sound of the engine. So, everyone else, see you at the next podcast. I might do another car podcast with my friend's car, if we have time, we might do that. And then I'm going to go back to the inside self-taped ones, talking a bit more about some concepts in terms of, staying clean of addictions that I want to add. And I can do that myself inside with the laptop. So we'll see you at the next podcast. This is the Nutty Professor with his no name, unnamed, I'm not going to do, well, I might, Rosie, but this is my Mini Cooper S, So, bye for now.